Hello guys, Momo-Dog here with a brand new video, and as you can probably see from the title already, this is gonna be a rant video. Ooh, something, well, kinda new I guess. I did have one or two rant videos about this character before. One was after I came back from Korea, and the other I'm not sure anymore. Probably one of the nerfs that made me do it, but yeah. As you can see in the title, epic rant, why I'm tired of playing Devil Jin. Um, Honestly, I need to make some disclaimers here. This character being weak is not the reason why you're stuck on Fujin or Tekken King or whatever. So little Timmy, no. This character being bottom 5 is not the reason you're hard stuck in your rank, and complaining about the character won't do you any better either. It will not invalidate your losses, it will not do anything. So don't watch this video if you feel like it will give you the closure you need on why you're losing your matches, because that's not it. This character, in my opinion, is pretty good for ranked, and probably much easier to have success within ranked until like God of Destruction than say Kazuya. However, this video will be about why I think the character sucks at the highest level, and I'm gonna explain thoroughly in detail. But yeah, this character, as I said, is plenty good for ranked. Like he's good enough. He has a very well degenerate playstyle that suits ranked gameplay, I guess. But it's too easy to fall into bad habits when you play that way. But that kind of explains his high win rate in ranked. Um, First off, why I've seen the light. I'm not sure how many of you know. I also uploaded a video about having played Kazuya, and honestly, it's this broken piece of shit on the left side of the screen that made me realize how much of a handicap playing Devil Jin is at the highest level. I know I say broken, but Kazuya is not broken. Still, I think that character nets you so much more reward for proper defense and good reads than Devil Jin could ever do. Doesn't matter in which timeline of this game. Playing Kazuya to God of Destruction kind of made me realize that when I play Devil Jin, it feels like I'm going in as a soul level 0 or like soul level 1 character against the end boss of a Dark Souls end boss or whatever the fuck. Going back to Devil Jin from Kazuya did not feel good at all. Like I had so much more fun playing Kazuya and actually getting rewarded for proper defensive reads and timing reads than with Devil Jin. Devil Jin, what we're gonna have to talk about very firstly is his balancing philosophy in this game, and I do not like it at all. Like even on release, I was not a huge fan of it already, since kind of incentivized the just hellsweep meta. And now that the hellsweep was nerfed to hell and back, and it doesn't really do much damage anymore compared to release, where you had the option to do like 70 damage off this. Like when it's connected, you could get like around 70 damage in total, which was pretty good, pretty fucking good. Even like you could kill someone who was in the 70 HP range just by landing a sweep. So that was enough reason to actually risk your life for that hell sweep, compared to now where you get like 56 or 57 damage for the max damage combo, which is kind of not worth it in my eyes. And in general, I feel like in a game where everyone has like 100 combo damage and activates heat at the wall and makes you go into a final guess situation, risking your life for a sweep is much worse than in Tekken 7, for the fact that the sweep is just a worse version than its Tekken 7 iteration. So we're kind of in a horrible situation already. Your main tool was nerfed. A lot of your main tools were nerfed, and I think it's kind of hypocritical to say that Devil Jin is okay and Devil Jin players are complaining too much when all of your main tools coming from Tekken 7 were nerfed except for maybe 1-1. So let's take a look at all of these nerf moves. Up 4, for example, is one of those nerfed moves. Up 4 is still kind of as bad as in Season 4, outside of in Heat, where it's like a safe hop kick, but other than that, I don't think up 4 is a good move at all anymore. Your down 4-1, a very obvious contender for a horrible move. Your jab range sucks. Your down 4, which was Devil Jin's most important low, I'm not even kidding, outside of the sweep, much worse, pretty much a useless low. And there's probably a lot of other stuff that I'm not even mentioning right now. Maybe even like back 4-3 Wasp and him losing 1+2 near the wall, which was also one of the strongest tools. Any move you look at, except for maybe the electric, is worse now coming from Tekken 7. So saying that this character is supposed to be strong in this game, I feel like is a bit pretentious. Kind of been on Twitter recently, which was a huge mistake, I know. I had a nice phase where I didn't open that hell of a site in like a month's time. Opened it again recently because I posted like 1 or 2 posts or whatever, and the first few things I read was I think Devil Jin players are complaining too much from a person who reached God of Destruction with the character. and then when I checked the Weiwu stats of that said person, it was legit people who I've never even heard of who you played against. Thing is, as I said, this character in rank is perfectly fine. You can reach God of Destruction just fine with him, and until you reach the highest level where people actually start playing against him properly, this character is okay-ish. You won't really struggle that much. He was designed around being strong in a first to two setting, or like being super random, so it's kind of tough playing well against him consistently if you're not well versed in the Devil Jin matchup. However, the tables completely turn when you are comfortable in the matchup, and I've seen it from playing against Kudans and Kudans playing against me. When you're confident enough in playing against him and you have proper defensive reads, this character kind of just gets shut down in a really horrible way, to the point where your only stance becomes useless because you can jab it out on reaction every single time. Your back to 3 has holes, your Morning Crow stance has holes, they can step the Morning Crow 1 and launch you in the back. Morning Crow 2-2 in a lot of matchups just sucks. Kazuya is one of them because you can launch it straight up. And Morning Crow 2 alone is still minus 13. So whatever you do from Morning Crow, you're at a huge risk. So anything you got new for Tekken 8 is pretty much already just super limited. This move in particular, I've only seen after like 6 or 7 months of playing Tekken 8. I only see a reason to use after a heat engager, because otherwise this just takes away way too much time of your heat timer, since the block stun just takes too long. So like you lose a fourth of your heat bar, I believe, to the move alone, and then due to the block stun, because of how long it takes, you lose like another fourth of it. So you lose half of your heat bar for using this move. Not worth it in my eyes. And the same you could say for CD 1+2, 1+2, since it takes so long for the move to come out and then the animation to finish. You already got rid of like more than a third of your heat bar just for using that move. So your heat sucks. And the only saving grace you really have is your Morning Crow Heat Smash and the Morning Crow 2-2, which is not a mix-up from neutral if your opponent jabs it out on reaction, but it does make mix-ups like up for 1 into Morning Crow 1 or Morning Crow 2 too much stronger, because they kind of have to respect that Morning Crow 2-2. However, I feel like this Morning Crow Heat Smash is way too underwhelming. I think this Heat Smash needs to remove all gray health. From what I've seen, the moves that remove gray health are things that either break your bones or like snap your neck. Look at Shaheen, Nina, Dragunov. And this man literally makes you explode the way Frieza did it on Krillin. And still, you just have all of your gray health still available. Which kind of doesn't make any sense to me. At the very least, make this move remove all your gray health, dude. At the very least, that would give you incentive to use it outside of it killing. Because right now, the only reason I see for the use of the Morning Crow Heat Smash is when they're like in perfect killing range, when they're like at 39 HP or whatever, maybe even below. So I think his Morning Crow Heat Smash is also plenty bad, because if you time your backdash perfectly, it's not even real after the up forward 1 on block. They can backdash it, especially when you hit that up forward 1 from range. And in the neutral, it's super linear. You can step it to both directions, and if they either backdash or duck, you're kind of getting launched for 100 damage, same way you could get launched for a sweep. Still an unblockable high, still okay, but I think buffing the damage wouldn't be the way to go, but at the very least make it remove all gray health, because this character does struggle with cog blocking comebacks by removing gray health or whatever. That's why I also think that characters like Dragunov and Nina are extra strong, because they have like consistent ways of removing gray health. And characters like Feng or Jin have consistent ways of dealing standing damage, which Devil Jin doesn't really have. And if you deal standing damage, obviously that's not going to be recoverable. My main game plan when I played Kazuya wasn't even landing hellsweeps or mix-ups. It was legit just looping as many of these as possible. And as you can see, this is like 2 of these is already like 36 real damage, which is more than a sweep. A sweep also, like even Kazuya sweep has recoverable damage to some extent. So that's the recoverable health part, and his Morning Crow Heat Smash sucking. And now we get to the real sucky Heat Smash contender, which is this. This Heat Smash is just a straight up disappointment at this point. You don't get a mix-up on block like other Heat Smashes. Like every other Heat Smash in the game offers a mix-up on block that is real. Devil Jin's Heat Smash on block does not offer a real mix-up. At the very most, it offers you a +8 and that's it. So you never really have... You can't die for blocking that Heat Smash if you're not dumb. And it doesn't track, it doesn't have much range anymore. From this range, like from these ranges, it has become slower after nerfs, because it immediately goes into the further active frames. So look at this. From this range, it's I-24. Before the nerfs, it would be like I-20 at most, because the range was still much higher. And as a result, his Heat Smash is also just super bad. What are you left with now, playing this character? Let's be real. What are you left with? You're left with a generic war running 3, you're left with an electric, you're left with back 4-2, which is your best mid. This move no one really cares about, it's super linear, you can step block it to the right with a lot of ease, and you have this Nerf Demon Paw. And your hellsweep, obviously. These are like your main tools. Your down make 2 is just a watered down version of Jin down 2. So like worse in every single way possible. Also worse than Kazuya's down 1+2 in my eyes. So you kind of have a worse version of that compared to the other Mishimas. And then what are your low options other than that? You have down 3. And this down 4 I wouldn't even count as a low option. So you're left with this down 3 pretty much, which is just a worse version of Kazuya's down make 4. Or Jin's down 4. I would take Jin's down 4 any day over this down 3. Anyway, you do not have anything that is better than the other Mishima's moves. And I know comparing characters' tools is not the way to go. But contextually, it's okay for Mishima's because they are supposed to be similar in a way. Not in this game though. They're super different in this game, but still. Any comparison you make, Devil Jin kind of just loses. Except for this move, which is kind of a bullshit move in my eyes. This move will just randomly track, or it doesn't. So either your opponent dies, or you die. What I do against this move in the mirror is I just hard duck for it, because it recovers like ass on whiff, but still, this move will just randomly hit. And I think it's super annoying to play against this move. Same way with back 3, and now we're getting to the point that I'm honestly trying to make. This character was balanced in a way, or like designed in a way that makes him super degenerate. And for a second, let's talk about degenerate character designs. Tekken 7 Season 2, Lei Wulong was released. Super degenerate character. Had like low launchers, like shadowed low launchers on every single stance of his, and even had a low launcher from standing with a stomach 4 back then. However, the character wasn't as annoying to fight, because he wasn't that strong yet. His combo game kind of sucked, and his neutral tools sucked, and his stance transitions weren't as plus as they used to be, so you could kind of, at the very least, keep him from going to stances, which they, in the later seasons, ended up removing. So like you had to take the guess between a launching mid or a launching low. Talking about Tiger stance here. Now, what does this have to do with Devil Jin? When you buff degenerate characters like that, like when you buff a character like Devil Jin's solid tools, when he has back 3 and like up for 1 or whatever, they're like super annoying to play against. Also is up for maybe his back 1+3, I think is super whatever. That's when characters become a real issue because they become super annoying and super tough to fight against. Mech 3 is already annoying to keep in mind. These days I just try to preemptively step against this move instead of blocking it, because that way I don't have to deal with the heat dash stuff, which makes it safe on block, or like even +5 on block. But still, the move exists, up for 1 still exists, and all of this together kind of makes the character super annoying. And what I would do if I personally were to balance this character, I would just remove the heat engage from back 3. This move would be plenty strong already if you could use it without the heat engage at all, because it's still a wall splitting mid that back swings, and if they swing into you at the wall at all, they just kind of get launched. Other than that, I don't think back 3 should be a main part of your game plan at all. Neither it should up 4 be. Honestly, the more I look at Tekken King Devil Jin players, and I'm not trying to talk about anyone specifically here, it's just an observation I made while playing Kazuya. Whenever I found a Devil Jin, I was just super happy about the points I would get, because Devil Jins at those ranks kind of are super reliant on moves like these, which are all launch punishable. They're super annoying to fight against because even at the highest level, you're gonna get hit by these at least once or twice, and they're just super random moves. So no matter how prepared you are gonna get hit by them. Like even cooldowns nice to get hit by Devil Jin's back 3 or whatever, or even up for 1. But as I said, this is what Devil Jin is now. This super fucking annoying character to fight against, and anytime you could also get launched by the sweep, but that doesn't really matter because it's for 1 recoverable health, and 2 doesn't really do that much damage anymore. And the reason why this is super whatever is because the first 2 hits in a combo determine how much recoverable health your opponent is gonna have. Since they nerfed the first 2 hits, since they nerfed the damage of the first 2 hits, it's not a lot of real damage. So when you play against a character like Yoshi, he lands 1 launcher, he already healed back all of the damage you dealt with that sweep. So like, the main issues with playing against Devil Jin is how random this character can be. And part of it is part of the reason why is moves like these. I know the character is ass, but I'm just trying to explain to you why fighting against Devil Jin would be so much more insufferable if they were to buff this character and moves like this were still the way they are. So what I would do, I would probably just make up for 1 insanely linear to the point where you only use it as a whiff punish because that's plenty reason to use it. And maybe even when you're super plus, like after down 1+2 on block, they would not be able to step it, so you could still as a pressure tool. But other than that, I don't think a move like up forward one should exist because it's super fucking annoying to deal with. Even if you sidestep it properly, you can still get tracked by it because it has super random tracking. And back three, I think, should just not heat engage. What are we gonna give him instead? And this is something I talked about thoroughly with Kira Kira and Jot and Kaizo Coulage when I was in Switzerland. And also partially what I talked about people within Korea. This character needs a way to remove grey health. And you could easily give this to him by putting it on CD1 of 4. It doesn't have to remove all grey health. But same way like a floor break here removes 15 grey health, or like 10, I'm not sure. You could make CD1 of 4 remove like 10 to 15 grey health. And that would give you plenty of reason to go for this route again. Because that way the damage would become very real. And you would still have a reason to use CD4-4 because of the +4 and especially at the ball to pressure them further. But right now, I don't see much reason to go for this. Even at the wall, I don't see much reason to go for this anymore. It's not much more damage than CD4-4. These days, I use CD4-4 much more with CD1 of 4 after hellsweep. And in general, I don't see much reason to use CD1 of 4 in combos anymore, even though it was like one of those main tools back then, since they kind of changed the scaling on this move. Even as a wall in there, you don't use this move anymore. If it were to remove grey health, we would actually have a reason to use it as a wall in there still. Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna have to buff this down for one again. And I don't even care about the extension being high, but what this down for one at the very least needs is it being for one -3 on block, and 2, it tracking them going to the right. Because that used to be a thing in Tekken 7. I'm not sure if Kazuya can actually step this to the right. His movement is kind of bad. So I wouldn't be surprised if he consistently got hit by this. But what happens against a lot of characters is that they can freely step this to the right. For Kazuya, it's a bit inconsistent. But when you play against a character that has better movement, say Reina or whatever, this down forward one will never track them going to your left, like their right. And Devil Jin kind of has a lot of trouble tracking that side. Kazuya, as I said, has pretty bad movement, so he's probably not going to manage to step this. But a lot of characters in this game can step back forward too now, or like they can hard sidewalk it. So the move that you're left with that tracks that side is either you time your electric really well, which they can still step, or you go in and sweep, which is a kind of slow move to track when you think about it. Of course, you also have the 1+2, but if they step block in time, your down forward 1 doesn't track, your electric doesn't track, and they get to block that 1+2 in time, so I'm not sure if that's a good option. I am not a huge fan of 1+2. I tried experimenting with the move a lot, especially against people that tend to go to the right against Devil Jin a lot. I don't think it's a good move, especially since a lot of the characters can just put a punch parry in between 1+2 and you're kind of just forced to eat the launch. So to put it into perspective, Asuka, for example, can input a punch sabaki in between 1+2 and always get a launch instead of just a -12 punish. Because the cancel is gone. And I think, I don't think he needs 1+2 cancel back or anything, but that down forward 1 change is super necessary. His old hellsweep damage needs to come back, or what you could also do at this point, you can make it a front turn launch, because Devil Jin wouldn't even get much more out of it. He would just get wall carry out of it, which would still be less wall carry than in Tekken 7, but your combo routes would still be super limited. So you would get this, but this is not going to be consistent whatsoever, depending on the angle you hit it from. 52 damage, which is like his old hellsweep damage maybe. And it requires execution, so it wouldn't even that much of an issue if they gave him the front turn launch. But they need to buff the hellsweep somehow, because in this game, you risk your life much more getting your hellsweep blocked than in Tekken 7, and you get much less reward. In Tekken 7, to put it into perspective, if you landed a hellsweep, you got a lot of wall carry, and you got the option of getting 71 damage plus flip over. The way you did that was you basically went for the fly 3 back 4 route after a hellsweep, since there was a front turn launch. And if you landed it correctly, you would get like 15 plus 16 damage from a wall ender and 40 damage off the sweep alone. You're never gonna get that from Devil Jin sweep in this game. But Kazuya can get that damage from his sweep at the wall. He can get 70 plus damage from his sweep if his sweep wall splits. And I think that's kind of unfair, because Devil Jin sweep at the wall, it's not unfair in the sense of Kazuya shouldn't have that, but rather Devil Jin at the wall would never get that kind of damage. All you get, you don't even get that damage most of the time, because they weirdly split like that. Like sometimes you get a side tornado and they just drop off the wall like that. Yep. So you either get nothing or you get this CD1 up forward. Which is kind of nothing. This is not a threat at the wall in my eyes. The biggest threat at the wall is CD4-4, and even that it's nowhere near the damage Kazuya gets at the wall from the sweep, for example. Reina's sweep at the wall is the dumbest pressure I've ever seen. You either 30 damage wall splitting mid, or you eat the throw that does like 30 damage. It's like essentially a power low. In that regard, I feel like Devil Jin Celsi feels the weakest at the wall. And his purpose, like his Celsius purpose, used to be wall carry. And in this game, it doesn't really wall carry. Like, you don't get a wall split. You reset to neutral. People can step away from the wall. By the time you're going in, they're already stepping away from the walls. Like, you're left with nothing except for them having recoverable health. I am super down playing this sweep because I don't think it's a good sweep at all. As I said, like when I play against the Link Xiaoyu player, for example, let's say they block my sweep, not only do I eat a 100 damage combo into infinite wall carry because everyone shits out wall carry in this game, I also have to guess after a 40 damage spike wall enter at the wall into a hypnotist mix-up. So like I can lose the entire round of getting one sweep blocked, which was not the case in Tekken 7. Tekken 7, the maximum damage you would eat against the average character would be like 70 or 80, if they even reached the wall, maybe even less. Like some characters had horrible wide-standing punishment, and they had to go for more optimal options if they really wanted more damage. So to put it into perspective, you're risking a life for 45 damage. Well, 53 if you enter heat, which is kind of dumb because you're left with half your heat bar after, which is not the way you want to use heat with Mishimas in this game. Like, Mishimas have great ways of stacking chip in this game. So does Devil Jin, especially at the wall. You're gonna be stacking chip more than you're gonna be using power lows. Like, even with Kazuya, I didn't even hellsweep much. Most of my ways of opening opponents up was legit just stacking chip. By either using, let's say, you could use 4/4, you could use CD3 1 plus 2 for chip, which does a shit ton of chip unblock. CD 1 plus 2 does a shit ton of chip unblock. And then eventually you're just gonna down make 1/2 or 4/4 into heat dash, and they're gonna eat another 20 chip unblock. And you can do the same with Devil Jin with down make 1 plus 2, barbaring 3, and like up for 1 to 1 for 1, whatever. But that sweep, you're not gonna win games off of it. You can land 3 or 4 sweeps in a row and they're still not gonna be dead, which was not the case in Tekken 7. In Tekken 7, you could land like either 4 CD4/4s or like 4 launching sweeps, and they would be dead. Not in this game, especially not because of recoverable health. Let's put this Kazuya into heat, for example. We activate heat on this guy and check how much of the damage is recoverable. You're left with 7 real damage from the initial hit, and everything else is 100% recoverable because he's in heat. So hell sweeping an opponent in heat is already a dumb option, even if you want to kill the heat timer, because everything is going to be recoverable. So if they hit you after, which is not hard to do against Devil Jin, they're going to recover all health. So what you're going to do is CD4/4 instead. And you're both still in a standing position, but still, it's a much better option if you want to kill the heat timer of your opponent. So when are you actually going to use that launching sweep then? And the answer is simple. Either if you want to activate heat this way for like 53 damage, whatever, which in my eyes is not nerfed, or when your first move is going to be a sweep, you should probably go for the launching sweep to create some gray health in order to delete it later on. But that's a hard task to do because people are going to press like crazy. And that's like the biggest issue of Devil in this game. He has a very hard time of keeping people from pressing. Down forward 2 counter is not really a lot of reward, and I personally don't give a shit about eating a down forward 2 counter against Devil Jin. He's in heat. I don't care. Devil Jin heat is so whatever to me. I just keep going on with my day. I just keep playing the neutral. There's nothing he gets in the neutral while having heat that makes me scared of fighting against him. Kazuya has down forward 2, and I was so amazed that Kazuya got to keep a tool like down forward 2 in this game, because this will most definitely keep people from pressing into him, which is why I had a much easier time getting people to respect me with Kazuya than with Devil Jin, especially in ranked. A well-timed down for 2 made my opponents respect me so much, either at round start or when I used it as a frame trap after down make 4, for example. I could loop these an infinite amount of times until I had the read of them pressing into me. And then I would just get countered launch by down for 2. Devil Jin is nothing like that. The best counter hit tool you have is your electric, but you're not always gonna get a 14 frame electric out. It's not realistic. Also, the fact that Devil Jin kind of has the hardest electric to use out of all Mishimas because you don't have an easier input. Kazuya has the perfect electric, which you could accidentally get as an input, like as a misinput from a normal electric. And Reina also has an easy electric, and Jin has electric shortcuts. Devil Jin has nothing like that. So essentially, you're putting in the most effort at the highest level when you're not using dumb moves like these. But you're not getting the same reward, especially when it comes to punishment. Vice Sitting 4-4 is a good punish, and that's it. Your next best punish is your 15 frame punish. I don't think Vice Sitting 1-2 is a good punish at all, unless you're in heat, where you can land something like this for, what is it, 68 damage. This is good, don't get me wrong, this is actually good, but the only time when this is gonna be useful is when you're in heat, and even then I would prefer his old Vice Sitting 1-4. Like, at this point, just give his old Vice Sitting 1-4 back. There's no reason for him not to have it. And his punishment will still not be better than Kazuya's, by the way. And then what also comes into play with Devil Jin is just in general, I think your low pokes just suck. Like, your low threat is not there. The best way to make your opponents respect you is not even using your lows, it's going in with back 4-2. This is your best move. This is Devil Jin's best move in my eyes. Even if it's side walkable in this game, I think this is your best move by far in this game. And you're not gonna win rounds with that alone, but it's good enough to at the very least make opponents respect you. Still, now that he lost his down 4-2 count at launch, I think it's super hard to make opponents respect you with Devil Jin, so you find yourself in a defending position much more than Kazuya while getting much less reward than Kazuya. And what I noticed when I played Kazuya to God of Destruction is that I got so much reward for my defensive reads. Let's say I land a counted down 4-2 on timing, you know, active defense, whatever you want to call it. 14 frame counted launcher, 86 damage. It may be minus 12 on block, but that doesn't really matter. Like, you're not gonna use down 4-2 as a poke or whatever, you're just gonna use it on that one timing read. And even if they block it, they're still gonna have to respect you in a way, because the next time it might hit and they might eat 80 damage still. It's like, the risk reward is kinda in your favor when you use that move. And you don't even have to use that move to make opponents respect you, but what ended up being my game plan with Kazuya is just I would stack my lows a shit ton. Like, I could use this, which is 20 damage normal hit. 2 of these is like more damage than a hellsweep already. And when I want to carry them to the wall, I'll just use CD4-4, which is more range than Devil Jin's sweep. Which is crazy to me. Like, Kazuya's sweep damage felt like a godsend to me when I was playing that character. And then coming back to Devil Jin from Kazuya was a horrible experience. Like, that was probably what opened my eyes the most. It was the fact that I played Kazuya. Which sounds stupid, but it took me like 2.5 days to bring Kazuya from, like, what was it? Raijin to God of Destruction. That's all it took for me. The character, it took me like one ranked session in between for him to click for me, because I did kind of experiment around with playing aggressive with him and losing. But then the day after, I just ranked rushed the shit out of rank with that character. And all I'm gonna say is, when, like, if you travel to tournaments and you pay for it out of your own pocket just to play Devil Jin, you're kind of an idiot in this game. You're wasting your money and your time. You're not gonna win with this current version of Devil Jin. You're not gonna win tournaments. You're gonna win that one first to two, because this character does have a very strong random aspect. Like, when you're super confident with this character, you can have success with him. But you're not gonna be consistent with this character. This character promises nothing but inconsistencies. Even his rage chart, which was supposed to be fixed like a day or two ago, no, a week ago actually at this point. On the same day the patch released that was supposed to fix his rage chart, it still whiffed for me. So, like, at this point, this character is just disappointing me over and over and over and over, and I have way too many clips at this point of dumb shit happening with this character for no fucking reason, and I'm kind of tired of it. Like, you're not gonna experience all of that shit when you just play that character casually or like on the side. I'm not telling you to not play Devil Jin. This character is still super fun, and you wouldn't, like, if this character weren't fun, if his combo game weren't fun, you wouldn't be seeing me still playing him. That's the reason why I'm still playing him. His combo game is fun, and in general, the character is kind of fun to play. But if it weren't for his looks and him being fun to play, I won't give a shit about this character or the game. Like, I won't even be playing Kazuya, I would just not be playing Tekken at all. Yeah, so I'm kind of praying for buffs, and a ton of them, because I feel like this character needs quite a lot at this point, since they took away everything he had that was kind of good at this point, and he's just left with Tekken 7 tools that are worse, essentially. And I can't wait for that one gym player to get into my comments and say, Devil Jin is not as weak as you say. You are bad as the player. Yeah, buddy. Kudans and me are bad as players, and it's our fault that we can't make the character work, am I right? I can't wait to read all the pretentious opinions in my comments, and please don't even try to make me change my opinion, because at this point I've gathered enough experience to say what I think is facts, whatever you want to call it. Like, I can't believe playing Kazuya was what opened my eyes in the end, but still. I do not think you should be playing Devil Jin at the highest level. He is easier to play than Kazuya, but he's not easier to win with at the highest level. That's basically what it boils down to. Kazuya is still the harder character to play, but he's easier to win with at the highest level, since you get so much more reward out of playing the character. Either way, I am very open to discussions in the comments, but I'm not gonna change my opinion. So please keep that in mind. I've kind of grown tired of defending this character. I will no longer do so at this point. I will just downplay him with pride, and yeah. From what I've seen, Twitter decides on character balancing anyway. So Godspeed. Hopefully this will reach the devs or whatever, and they're finally gonna buff this character. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video. Kind of felt good to just talk whatever was on my mind for this one. Play Devil Jin, he's fun. Don't play him at the highest level, don't play him in tournament. That's pretty much it. See ya.